Grit. Courage. Passion. Honor.
The Indian Army first came here in 1948, and when they marched up, there were a lot of casualties due to high altitude. There's acute mountain sickness, there's high altitude pulmonary edema where you get water in your lungs, and there's high altitude cerebral edema where you get water in your brain. All these latter two can be killer diseases.
When a soldier is deployed at an altitude of 21,000 feet in the Siachen Glacier, there are chances he will collapse after suffering from breathlessness and sweating profusely. A soldier is suffering from high-altitude pulmonary edema. Excess fluid has accumulated in his lungs and he has serious difficulty in breathing. The Army chopper lands straight away at a helipad constructed within the premises of Leh's Army Hospital.
Today we make sure that any of these people we do not lose them. While they are working so hard and putting their lives on the line, that we have to do the best for them.
Pulmonary edema can prove fatal. The doctors at General Hospital in Leh are already in standby mode to handle this emergency. The casualty is rushed into the hospital hyperbaric chamber. The hyperbaric chamber is a sealed chamber which creates a high-pressure environment higher than the atmospheric pressure at sea level.
Okay, these are hyperbaric chambers inside which pressure can be increased to any desired amount. They have a limit of about 5 atmospheres. The whole idea of these chambers in a case of HAPO is to increase the pressure inside the body, the pressure of gases inside the body, the same as it would be at sea level. As a result, body responds as if it were at sea level. The patient recovers rapidly. We do not need to evacuate them. In fact, today we treat patients of HAPO and we keep them here. We do not even send them down.
Out of danger are some of the most cherished words in the vocabulary of the Army Medical Corps doctors, driven by their motto of Sarve Santu Niramaya, meaning may all be free from disease and disability.
Combat casualties come to you in a case where they may be grievously injured, or bullet injuries, blast injuries, and here time is of the essence. We have to give urgent care at the earliest to ensure that we do not lose any patient.
The Indian Army Medical Corps serves the country's troops in the forwardmost line of contact. They deal with wartime casualties and heal the wounded, despite grave risks to their personal safety. By virtue of being at the front line, the Army Medical Corps personnel enjoy combatant status.
Our doctors also command our own establishments, and even in war we command our establishments and move along with the combat troops right behind the front lines to provide them all sorts of medical care.
All the Army doctors, nurses and paramedics receive basic military and technical training to operate and survive in the battlefield. The Army base hospitals are counted amongst the most advanced medical care units in the country. These multidisciplinary hospitals not only look after the medical needs of serving Army men, but also of their families and even retired soldiers.
Our motto is that if any casualty comes to us alive, we will not let him die in this hospital. And I can say it very confidently, we will retrieve him and bring him back and make him a productive member of society again.
The Army Base Hospital in Srinagar is a very busy place all through the year. It handles an assortment of casualties and health problems aggravated by the extremely cold weather conditions and the difficult terrain.
I have held the Indian Army Jawan in such high regard that nothing I do will ever be enough for them.
We are totally geared up to provide emergency medical care not only in battle casualties but also in any possible mass disaster situation.
The army hospitals have done a yeoman's service to the nation by attending even to civilian casualties during natural calamities like floods, earthquakes and tsunami. General Hospital in Leh treated scores of civilians affected by the flash floods in August 2010. With the district civil hospital lying in shambles after the cloud burst, the victims of this natural calamity had no place to get their injuries treated. The army doctors worked non-stop attending casualties, civilian as well as military.
The civil hospital, the SNM hospital, was totally defunct that day because it collapsed. The sludge had gone into the hospital, their OT was non-functional, and we had one surgical team. And on that night, we conducted something around 20 major operations in this hospital, and that was done by a single surgeon and an anesthetist.
The army had also commissioned several makeshift hospitals in flash flood affected areas to provide on-the-spot emergency medical assistance. In fact, the Army Medical Corps has been providing healthcare services in several forward areas along India's international borders even during peacetime. And it's not just in the border areas, but also in Delhi at the Army's Research and Referral Hospital, popularly known as RR Hospital. It is one of the finest and most advanced hospitals in India. It is a multi-speciality hospital with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment, and it caters to all the three defense services. It is also responsible for looking after the health and well-being of the President of India, who is also the Supreme Commander of all the armed forces. It would not be an exaggeration to call ASC the lifeline of Indian Army. In wartime, these men and their vehicles are one of the preferred targets of the enemy, whose aim is to somehow break the supply chain and starve the frontline troops of food, fuel, medicines and ammunition. Conquering adversities is a part and parcel of a soldier's life in the Army Service Corps.
We make sure that the troops in the most forward post, they don't have to look back for their logistic support, and we push everything forward.
The ASC is closely associated with the planning and execution of all the logistical support operations of the Army, which makes it indispensable during both war and peace.
As we all know that our troops march on their stomach. So we make sure that their stomachs are not empty and security of our nation is not compromised because of the want of logistic support.
As the oldest and largest administrative arm of the Indian Army, the Army Service Corps is driven by its motto of Seva Asmakam Dharmam, that is, service is my creed. ASC is also responsible for the issuing of fresh rations to the entire army. The planning and logistics involved in supplying rations to such a large force is more difficult than it sounds.
First challenge that we have is underdeveloped roads and tracks. So in that kind of roads and tracks, we have to sustain our armed forces. And then we have enemy observation, which is actually very risky when we are actually going through the operation. That time we have to counter that particular problem also.
Not the ones to be disheartened easily. The ASC officers and their men dodge the enemy using a variety of tactics, which include sending dummy convoys. And to reach the soldiers posted in some of the most inaccessible areas, the ASC employs a wide variety of means to keep them going, come what may. The ASC also uses animals, helicopters and aircraft to transport and drop stores at the point of action.
We as ASC, we are responsible for providing those troops with water, with ration, with fuel, oil or lubricants, with ammunition for whatever requirement. So that is why I think it is very important for us to exist so that we can support the troops who are ahead of us.
It's an ecstatic feeling that you can feed the troops who are securing these great heights where very few have been able to go till now.
The maximum height which generally the drivers have to travel for this, providing this logistics support, is from 18,000 to 19,000 feet.
The Khardungla Pass remains snowbound for a large part of the year, but that is hardly a deterrent for this convoy. Upon encountering snow, the soldiers quickly mount snow chains on their trucks' tires and keep moving. They realize the importance of the job at hand, of reaching their destination where their fellow soldiers are waiting for the supplies. Each of these trucks is manned by a driver only. Moving uphill along the twisting and turning narrow paths in the Himalayas, the convoy has a trained repairman to tackle vehicle breakdowns. One of the vehicles in the convoy seems to have broken down. In a display of camaraderie and teamwork, the entire convoy halts to get this vehicle going. Ignoring the glacial chill all around, these men surely know how to keep up their tempo.
EME stands for Core of Electronics and Mechanical Engineering.
बंदे को शॉक लगता है एक ऑफिसर को. Nothing else can be done now. I'm dead.
Next Monday, 10 p.m. Anya presents Nat Geo Mission Army Desh Ke Rakshak, powered by Samsung Mobile, only on the National Geographic Channel. These trucks belonging to the Army Service Corps are waiting at this Army Ordnance Corps depot to pick up stores for the troops manning forward posts in the Kargil sector.
It is an organization which looks after the complete logistics of the entire army, which is basically providing for everything from a pin to a tank.
The Army Ordnance Corps is a logistical branch tasked with provisioning and acquiring all stores to raise and maintain a fully battle-ready army at all times. They also make available spare parts for all the weapons and equipment used by the Indian Army. Barring medicines, fuel and fodder, the ordnance depots stock everything that is used by the soldiers.
It's a mix of all things. I am also a factory, I also manufacture, I also stock, I also provision, I also issue, and I also dispose of.
In addition, the ordnance officers are also responsible for safe disposal of scrap and condemned stores, including all army vehicles.
The complete inventory of the ordnance would be more than 3 lakhs. It is everything, be it ammunition, be it vehicles.
The Army Ordnance Corps motto is Shastra Se Shakti, meaning strength through arms. The Ordnance Corps officers are specialists in advanced planning, sourcing, price negotiating, buying, stocking and storing all sorts of supplies. The Ordnance also stocks missiles in their inventory.
And of late, we have used IT as a force multiplier to aid us in handling such an inventory.
Army Ordnance Corps has also undertaken the onerous task of computerized inventory control, integrating all inventory holding establishments, command and control organizations and users across the length and breadth of the country. The maintenance and upkeep of all the weapons, equipment, communication and information technology systems and vehicles is handled by the Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineers, popularly known as the Corps of EME.
EME stands for Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineering. It is basically responsible for repair and maintenance of all types of electronics and mechanical equipment held in the Indian Army.
With the advanced technology, it demands the maintenance staff to have 100% efforts dedicated towards the aircraft, so that the maintenance activities are carried out with surgical precision. We carry out various trainings for the technicians so as to maintain their technical proficiencies and maintain the excellent aircraft that we have at our hand.
EME officers deployed in repair bases located close to the forward operational areas quickly attend to equipment breakdowns, including routine wear and tear, so as to restore them to their working condition in the shortest possible time frame. They play a critical role in keeping the Indian Army in a fighting-fit condition at all times. It is a well-established fact that no army can achieve its full potential in the battlefield without 100% reliable weapons and equipment. And that is where the Corps of EME has proved itself to be a dependable force dedicated to the security of the country. Engineers posted at the base workshops carry out large-scale repairs and refurbishment, including stripping and rebuilding the equipment, be it a tank, field gun, missiles, anti-aircraft gun, Tatra truck, simulators, telephone exchange, IT systems, radars, helicopters, or night vision equipment.
EME is capable of performing its task in the field, deep inside the enemy territory and in war-like conditions. In war-like conditions where the equipment can be repaired in situ and can be provided to the user or the fighting unit.
The EME motto is Karm Hi Dharm, that is, work is supreme duty. The EME is a versatile unit that believes in innovation and improvisation. The Corps of EME has excelled in the field of sports with a large number of achievements in national and international competitions in rowing and sailing. If the combat arms are likened to the teeth of the Indian Army, then surely it is the Corps of EME that keeps them sharp enough for that lethal bite.
हमने पहले टैंक चलाया था, उससे फायरिंग की थी और जब उसको खोलेंगे तो पता लगेगा उसके अंदर क्या क्या पार्ट्स होते हैं और कैसे खुले जाते हैं.
एक चीज़ तो है कि यहाँ पे हाथ में अभी तेल बहुत आने वाला है, लाइक इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी ग्रीसी.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
The 5 Mission Army candidates get a first-hand experience of giving a new lease of life to a main battle tank at 505 EME Base Workshop in Delhi.
Are we ready?
Being novices, they first need a crash course in basics of mechanical engineering, especially the internal combustion engine, which is the heart of any battle tank. They learn about the importance of cleaning the engine oil filter after every 8,000 kilometers. Continuing to run the tank with clogged oil filter could jeopardize its working. Eventually, the engine may pack up all of a sudden and become liability in a battlefield.
इतना मतलब इजी टास्क भी नहीं है क्योंकि ये बड़ा इसके अंदर स्पेशलाइज्ड चीज है. उसको बचाते हुए उसको अच्छी तरह क्लीन करना है और उसको प्रॉपर्ली टाइट करना है.
Repairing tanks and field guns calls for a unique combination of brain and brawn.
बंदे को शॉक लगता है एक ऑफिसर को. Nothing else can be done now. I'm dead.
Next Monday, 10 p.m. IM presents Nat Geo Mission Army, Desh Ke Rakshak, powered by Samsung Mobile, only on the National Geographic Channel. The Mission Army candidates have so far honed their skills in the combat arms. By now, they have got the hang of firing precision rifles, driving battle tanks, taking aim with mighty field guns. Navigating army choppers and blowing up enemy bridges. They now get to lay their hands on the insides of some of these weapon systems at the 505 EME base workshop. Will they be able to give a new lease of life to a main battle tank lying for repairs?
Rohan, your time starts now.
Armed with an assortment of spanners and screwdrivers, Rohan heads straight to the gunner's compartment and first aligns the gun at the prescribed angle. He then gets down to opening the engine housing using the right combination of tools. Only then can he access the engine oil filter. A quick change of tool and Rohan gets down to opening the oil filter housing. The filter element needs to be carefully pulled out and washed with diesel. Rohan has to ensure that the filter element is cleaned thoroughly and no trace of sludge is left behind. Traces of dirt blocking the filter pores can put the engine in peril. A good EME engineer's task does not end with just doing a good job of repairing. He has to be equally particular about showing respect for his tools, which must be cleaned and dried before being neatly stored in the tool trolley or the tool bench, as the case may be.
बहुत मजा आया टास्क करने में. फिजिकल टास्क वर्क था और ऊपर से ध्यान में भी रखना था कि कौन सा स्क्रू कहाँ पे लगाना है और कौन सा पार्ट कहाँ पे लगाना है.
Competing neck to neck with Rohan, Rudrashish has a tough task at hand. The engine compartment cover is proving to be a tough nut. The tool keeps slipping, and with it slips Rudrashish's self-confidence. Never the one to give up, he gets creative and tries kicking his troubles away. And the kicking works.
And his competition, so extra effort डाला उसने. That's गया हाथ से. I took too much time on those screws.
Lack of adequate upper body strength while loosening and tightening the nuts and bolts is proving to be a liability for Rudrashish. Ela seems pretty charged up during this task, as if she is trying to prove something to herself, her Mission Army buddies and her EME instructors.
The most difficult part was to open the third bolt, which was so tight that it took me more than, I'm sure it would have taken me nearly 3 to 4 minutes to open that one bolt.
She has done well for herself so far and managed to service the filter as per the prescribed procedure. She surely seems to be in a hurry to impress the EME instructor in charge of the task.
Task completed, sir.
Where is your bucket?
I just forgot my bucket, which was really sad. I mean, I should have recollected about the bucket, but I had to rush back, get my bucket back. It's all oil in my hands. It's just fine. It's a task. I have to do it. So.
Kuldeep, your time starts now.
Kuldeep begins his innings by trying to do things differently.
जो हमारे फौजी भाई इतना काम करते हैं यहाँ पर, ये मेंटेन करना टैंक्स को, इनको सल्यूट है बिल्कुल, क्योंकि ये काम आसान नहीं है और नट खोलने में हमारी जान लग गई है.
Studying to be a white-collar business manager, Kuldeep has proved his agility and versatility even as an efficient repairman. Even though the task has left Kuldeep puffing and panting, he seems to be cherishing every moment spent with the machinery. Will he be back in the game after this task?
अच्छा था टास्क, काफी बस मेहनत करनी पड़ी क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा टाइट थे और स्लिपरी भी थे. परफॉर्मेंस शायद अच्छी रही होगी क्योंकि मेरे को लगता है कि मैंने सब टाइमली किया और काफी ठीक रहा.
Priyanka is literally going by the procedure prescribed in the tank service manual. Though bubbling with energy, there seems to be a mismatch in the synergy between the tools and the bolts.
ठंड की वजह से पकड़ में नहीं हो रहा था और सब मेटल का है जितने भी औजार हैं, तो वो हाथ में नहीं आ रहे थे, फिर फिसलने लगे.
A National Cadet Corps training seems to be helping her stay focused on the task at hand.
ऑयल फिल्टर क्लीन कर रहे थे तो मैंने डीजल बाहर गिरा के उसको धो रही थी. जब घर पे भी यूटेंसिल्स जब साफ करते हैं तो यूजुअली टेक वाटर एंड क्लीन इट. सो दैट वाज माय हैबिट इन ऑयल फिल्टर क्लीनिंग.
Dropping diesel and lubricants on the shop floor is a strict no-no here. Not only does it lead to wastage of material, it also attracts dirt and makes the workplace slippery and unsafe to move on.
Task complete, sir. मेरी एक्चुअल बॉडी की वजह से I did very well. कि इतने बड़े-बड़े बोल्स खोलना is not a simple joke.
The EME task has placed Kuldeep on top of the chart. He is now back in the reckoning. Hot on Kuldeep's heels is Rohan, who in turn is being chased by Rudrashish. At 4th rank, Ela is leading over Priyanka. Next week, Mission Army candidates get inside the infantry in operations.
बंदे को शॉक लगता है एक ऑफिसर को.
Nothing else can be done now. I'm dead.
Next Monday, 10 p.m. Pania presents Nat Geo Mission Army, Desh Ke Rakshak, powered by Samsung Mobile, only on the National Geographic Channel.